All right, with that, good afternoon. Happy Friday. Thank you for those who are able to show up in this wonderful winter storm in D.C. Have a couple of things at the top. So today we got more evidence that President Biden's economic plan is delivering results that more and more Americans are feeling. Consumer sentiments increased 13% this month, rising to its highest level in more than 2 years. In the last 2 months, sentiments has surged by 29%, the biggest 2-month jump in more than 30 years. It's clear Americans are starting to feel President Biden's strong economy. Wages have risen faster than inflation for 10 months in a row. The unemployment rate has remained below 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years. Inflation has fallen by about 2/3. We have more work to do, obviously, but we are on the right path. President Biden's agenda is a sharp contrast with congressional Republicans' plans to cut taxes for the wealthy and big corporations while raising health care and prescription drug costs for hard-working American families. And a few moments ago, I saw some of you have already been reporting this. The president signed the continuing resolution passed by bipartisan majorities in the House and Senate that prevents a needless shutdown, maintains current funding levels, and includes no extreme policies. Instead of wasting more time on partisan appropriation bills that violate the budget agreement 2/3 of them voted for last spring, House Republicans must finally do their jobs and work across the aisle to pass full-year funding bills that deliver for the American people and address urgent domestic and national security priorities by passing the president's supplemental request. Today, more good news. President Biden announced his administration is canceling debt for another 74,000 student borrowers across the country. With today's actions, the Biden-Harris administration has now canceled debts for 3.6 million Americans, and that's a big deal, as some will say around here, a big deal. Those receiving relief as a part of today's announcement include teachers, nurses, firefighters, and others who earned forgiveness after 10 years of public service. It also includes people who have been in repayment for 20 years but never got the relief that they earned. And in practical terms, it means that today, thanks to President Biden and this administration, millions of American families have a bit more breathing room to start a business, save for their kids' college, or buy their first home. From day one of this administration, the president vowed to improve the student loan system so that obtaining higher education provides Americans with opportunity and prosperity, not unimaginable burdens of student loan debt. The president will continue using every tool at his disposal to get student loan borrowers the relief they need to reach their dreams. Turning to this afternoon, the president's obviously his schedule this afternoon. The president knows that mayors get things done, and he is looking forward to welcoming bipartisan mayors attending the U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting to the White House later today. The president will highlight the ongoing partnership between federal and local governments to ensure communities across the country realize the full potential of investing in America agenda. The president will highlight the most significant investment in our nation's infrastructure in generations, the biggest investment in fighting climate change, progress preventing, reducing crime, our work to end homelessness, and much more. With that, we have the Admiral here, John Kirby, who's here to discuss the Middle East. Admiral, the podium's yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. President Biden had a chance to speak this morning with Prime Minister Netanyahu. The President and the Prime Minister discussed ongoing efforts to secure the release of all remaining hostages that are being held by Hamas. The two leaders also reviewed the situation in Gaza and the shift to targeted operations that will enable the flow of increasing amounts of humanitarian assistance while keeping the military pressure on Hamas and its leaders significant. The President welcomed the decision from the government of Israel to permit the shipment of flour for the Palestinian people directly through Ashdod port, while our teams are separately working on options for more direct maritime delivery of assistance into Gaza. The President also discussed recent progress in ensuring the Palestinian Authority's revenues are available to pay salaries, including for the Palestinian security forces in the West Bank. The President also discussed Israel's responsibility, even as it maintains military pressure on Hamas and its leaders, to reduce civilian harm and to protect the innocents. The President also discussed his vision for a more durable peace and security for Israel, fully integrated within the region, and a two-state solution with Israel's security guaranteed. Now, and we'll have a formal readout of the call here shortly if it's not out already. Just one last thing. This morning, U.S. forces conducted 3 successful self-defense strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. This is the 4th preemptive action that the U.S. military has taken in the past week against Houthi missile launchers that were ready to launch attacks. In this case, anti-ship missiles. CENTCOM, Central Command, will have more details on this a little bit later, but as you know, there are U.S. Navy ships in the Red Sea as well as international shipping. These actions were, I want to stress again, done in self-defense, but it also helps make safer international waters for both naval vessels as well as merchant shipping. Thank you.
John.